and welcome back to Cooking Hour. Just like last week when we made crepes, we're making another breakfast item. Today we are going to make cheese Danish. So this is a great breakfast recipe that's quick and easy to put together and should please the whole family. So the first things we're going to do, like always for our cooking videos, we are going to wash our hands and we're also going to wipe down the workspace. So we're going to get started by going over to the sink and washing our hands, washing off the table, and then we'll get out the ingredients. Alright, so we are over at the sink and we are going to be washing our hands. So first we have to grab a little soap. And then we're going to just a little bit of water on our hands. And we are going to rub the soap pretty much everywhere we can. We're going to get in between our fingers, in between our thumbs, fingertips, back of our hands and fingers, our wrist, our palms, and then we are going to rinse it off. So you want warm water, and you are going to now rinse off all that soap that you just put on your hands. So you're getting in between our fingers and our thumbs, the backs of our hands and fingers, fingertips and fingernails, our wrist, and you want to make sure that you're keeping your hands in the water for at least 20 seconds. So if you want to count to 20 really slow, if you want to sing a song or your ABCs, anything works. But we are going to now turn off the water. It's been about 20 seconds. And you can use a towel or a paper towel, whatever you have on hand. And now we can get started. Now that we've washed our hands, we're also going to wipe down our workspace. So I am working at the table, so I'm going to start to wipe it down. If you're working at the counter, you can wipe that down. If you have a cutting board, make sure you clean that. So we're just making sure we wipe down our workspace so that we get rid of all the germs. So make sure that maybe you put a little bit of dish soap on your sponge or paper towel, and then go back over it with just a wet paper towel to make sure you get all the soap off as well. But we're wiping down our workspace. Just make sure all the crumbs from last night and all of the germs are off the table. Alright, I think we are all set. So now what I'm going to do is grab the ingredients and we'll get started. Alright, so as you can see, I have placed all of the ingredients on the table. So the first thing you're going to need are 2 cans of crescent rolls. So you're just going to get these for the top and bottom of your cheese Danish. So just the 8-ounce can should work. And then we are going to use 2 8-ounce bars of cream cheese, which are already in my bowl over here. So make sure you grab 2 of these. It's going to be your filling. Then you're also going to need a cup of granulated sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1 egg, and then also 1 egg white, and that's just to place on the top of the crescent roll so it gets nice and brown. So then you're also going to need some materials or ingredients for the glaze on top, but we'll get to that after our Danish is out of the oven, because you have to wait at least 20 minutes to put the glaze on, or it's just going to melt right off. So we will do that while our Danish is cooling. So we're going to get right into it. I have all of my tools on the table here. So I have already started to whip up the cream cheese mixture here. So if your cream cheese mixture is right out of the refrigerator, I recommend leaving it on the counter for an hour or so, just to let it get to room temperature. I did not have time to do that, so I was trying to whip it up a little bit so that it's a little easier to work with. But if you have it room temperature, you will not need a hand mixer or a stand mixer. You could use one if you want it to be a little easier, but if it's at room temperature, you should be able to just mix it in with your hand, or with your spatula, not your hands. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in all of our ingredients here. So we are going to first lay our crescent roll on the bottom here so we can put our mixture in afterwards. So I'm going to move some things around here so I can reach it. So I'm going to take one of my crescent rolls here, and this is always the interesting part, trying to open one of these cans, but we'll figure it out. So peeling off, there we go. Oh, it opened right away. That almost never happens. So just peeling off the instructions here, we don't need them. And taking out our crescent rolls here. I'm trying to keep it in one piece because that's how we're going to knead it for the bottom here. And then you're just going to, here, I'll move my sugar here so you can see. I am just going to carefully roll the dough out on the bottom, and this is a 9x13 pan, so that's the size that you're going to need. And it fits quite perfectly, I will say. You might need to stretch it a little bit, but you can always spray the bottom too so it doesn't stick. But because mine is a glass pan, it should be okay. So what now you're gonna do is pinch together the little seams in your crescent roll and try and flatten it out a little bit here. If it goes up to the sides, that's okay too. We're gonna place another one on top, so you don't have to worry about that too much. But we're going to try and pinch together the seams where you would pull apart the crescent rolls. So just pinching and kind of pressing down at the same time here. You want to make sure you don't have any seams left so that your filling doesn't end up on the bottom. And then we're just kind of pressing up to the sides a little bit. Again, you don't have to go crazy. You don't want it to be super thin on the bottom. But just making sure that we have our bottom covered, just like this. And then you can set this aside for right now. Back to our filling. So we are going to now, before we do our filling, we're going to go over and preheat the oven just so it's ready when we're ready, so we can go right in the oven. So I'm going to head over to the oven and preheat it really quick. So we are going to preheat our oven to 350, and we're going to start, and our oven will preheat while we are filling our Danish. Alright, so we're back from preheating the oven. So I already have my 2 packets of cream cheese in my bowl here. But if you haven't done that step yet, you can put them in the bowl. Again, if it's at room temperature, you should be able to just mix everything with a spatula. If it's a little cold though, you might want a hand mixer or a stand mixer. We're also going to grab the vanilla and our sugar over here. And we're going to need a cup of sugar. We're going to grab that. Okay, so we got our cup of sugar going in here. And then we're going to push that off to the side. And we need a teaspoon of vanilla. Again, if you want to add a little bit more, that's okay too. Teaspoon of vanilla. In it goes. And then we are also going to add in our egg. We're going to take this here and add in our egg. And while I'm at it, so I only have to wash my hands once, I'm going to get our egg white ready. So I've got another bowl here, and I'm just going to take my egg, crack it, and I'm going to separate the egg white and the egg yolk. Now there's no perfect science for this, but basically I just crack it and let the egg white fall into the bowl. You don't need a ton, and then the egg yolk just goes back in this bowl over here. I do have one shell though, so I'm going to try and grab that really quick. Sometimes it's easier just to use the leftover eggshell to grab it, because for some reason they stick together. So sometimes you can just use your leftover eggshell to grab that little piece, and sometimes you can't. So I'll try and, there we go. I'll try and dig that out, and I'm going to take a hand washing break, and I'll be right back. Now we have all of our ingredients in our mixture here. We have an egg, a teaspoon of vanilla, a cup of sugar, and 2 packages of cream cheese. Now we have to mix them together. So again, if it's at room temperature, you can just use the spatula, or I'm going to have to use my hand mixer here, and I'm going to plug it in. And if you're going to use a hand mixer, you want to make sure that you use a really tall bowl so that everything doesn't come flying out at you. There still might be some little pieces that fly out, but that's why we wipe down the table when we're done as well. So here we go. It's going to be a little loud. So we're just mixing everything together. So basically you're looking for just a smooth consistency where everything is mixed together, so you don't see any more of the egg yolk, or you don't see the sugar or vanilla anymore. So I'm just going to take a couple more seconds to make sure everything is combined, and then we are going to place this on our crescent roll. Alright, so everything looks combined. Now we're going to take our spatula here and make sure we get all of that cream cheese mixture off our hand mixer here. So we're just scraping everything off. Sometimes it's a little difficult because you gotta get in between the little metal wire here. But we'll get most of it. And then we are going to place our mixture here on the crescent roll. So I'm going to tap this off here. Good enough. And I'm going to bring my crescent roll back over here. And we're going to place the mixture on our crescent roll. So there is a lot of filling for this Danish, which I think is awesome. But if you don't want that much filling, you can always half the recipe. So only use 1 packet of cream cheese, half a cup of sugar, half a teaspoon of vanilla, and I don't really know how you cut the egg in half, but you're just going to have to add a whole egg, I guess. So I'm going to make sure I get all of the mixture in here, and then I'll spread it out. And you definitely don't want to lick the spoon because there is an egg in here. I know it's tempting. But we basically made kind of a cheesecake filling. It's got sugar, eggs, cream, cheese. So it's kind of like a little mini cheesecake on your Danish. Alright. So we're going to spread this out so it's even across the crescent roll bottom here. Make sure everything gets a little bit of filling, or a lot of filling in this case. which I think is great. I think the filling ratio to crust ratio should be a little off. It shouldn't be 50-50. Alright. So we now have our cheesecake Danish cheese filling here. And now I'm going to take my other crescent roll. Hopefully it opens nicely just like the last one. I always end up having to like bang it on the table for some reason. It doesn't like to open. Woo! There we go. And then this one's going to be a little more difficult because we do have the cream cheese filling on here. So I'm going to try and take it out in one piece without it falling on my filling here. And I'm going to carefully open it before I put it on top. So trying to find where it starts here. Here we go. You peel it apart. If you find that it's sticking to your fingers, what you can do is put a little flour on your hands as well, and that should help if it's sticking a lot. Alright, let's try and even this out a little bit. Your hands might get a little messy, but that's okay. We'll just wash them afterwards. And you're going to want to do the same thing. Pinch together these seams where you would pull apart the crescent rolls. Try and get it to the edges here without ripping it. And we should be almost good to go. Just pinching together the other side here. And if a little cream cheese filling is showing, that's not a big deal. Alright, so we have our crescent roll on top here, and then we're just going to take our egg white, and the oven is preheated, perfect timing. So we are going to brush our top piece with our egg white here, and that's just going to help it to crisp up in the oven. And if you're really worried about it getting too brown, what you can do is look at it halfway, and if it's the color that you like it, you can always put tin foil on the top to stop the top of the crescent roll from getting any more brown. But we're just going to continue to brush our egg white on here. You probably won't use all of it, and that's okay. But we want to make sure that we get all the corners and that we get all of the crescent roll here. Alright, I think we are all set. And now we're going to bring this over to the oven and place it in the oven for about 35 to 45 minutes. So this one takes a little while to bake, but it'll be worth it in the end, trust me. So we're going to bring this over to the oven. And make sure you have a parent or guardian help you place it in the oven and set a timer for, I would start with 35 minutes, and then you can always add time to the end of it. Our oven is at 350. The Danish is going in the oven, and we will set a timer for about 35 minutes. So remember, have a parent or guardian help you with this step. We're going to be really careful. And our Danish is going in the oven on the top rack. And we're going to set our timer for 35 minutes. And we'll wait and see. This is after 35 minutes in the oven, so I have taken it out. And now what we're going to do is make the glaze for the top while it's cooling. Now that the cheesecake is out of the oven, or the Danish cheesecake filling, we are going to now make the glaze. So there are 3 ingredients for the glaze. You have a half a cup of powdered sugar, 2 tablespoons of milk, and a half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So we're going to add all those into the bowl here, mix it up, and then we can top our cheese Danish with our glaze. So first thing we'll do is probably should add in the powdered sugar first. and then the liquids, just so it'll be a little easier. So I'm trying to open the bag here. So we need half a cup of powdered sugar. And that's usually what you use when you're making any type of icing. And usually with icing, you don't have to be super exact. So if it gets everywhere like mine is, it's okay. So add in half a cup. Try and make not too much of a mess. Powdered sugar gets everywhere though, so just be super careful. And then we need 2 tablespoons of milk. 1 and 2. And then we need half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So this is a teaspoon, so I'm just going to use half of this one. Looks good. And then we're going to mix this all together. And just be, again, super careful because powdered sugar just tends to get everywhere. So just stir very slowly. But eventually you'll start to see the glaze that can go right on top of your cheese Danish once it cools. I'd say let it cool for about 20 minutes. And then you should be good to put your glaze on top. So basically you're just looking to get all the lumps of powdered sugar out. If you're having a tough time, you can get a whisk. That might be a little easier. But you basically want to make sure that it's nice and smooth. So we're just stirring, mixing together until we get all of our powdered sugar incorporated into the mixture. So just making sure we get all the lumps out. May have to press down a little bit. But as long as you get most of the big lumps out, it should be fine. So you're looking for something like this. And again, you can tap the rest of the powdered sugar and it gets everywhere. So you'll just have to wipe down your workspace afterwards. But once our Danish has cooled, we can top our Danish with this glaze. Once the Danish has cooled, I added the icing to the top and you can enjoy. Now that our Danish has cooled, we've topped it with our icing or a glaze, and now you can enjoy. So remember to help with the dishes afterwards as well, and wiping down your workspace, putting all the ingredients back is always important. But I hope you had fun today in cooking hour and making our cheese Danish. Please comment down below with ideas for the next cooking hour. I'd like to see what recipes you'd like me to make. Also comment down below with pictures of your Danish when it's done. I'd like to see the finished product. And also comment down below with what type of Danish you like best. Do you just like the plain cheese Danish? Do you like strawberry, raspberry, lemon, blueberry? What kind of Danishes do you like? So thank you for joining me again. I hope you had fun making this recipe, and I hope to see you next time. Bye everybody!